morning, everybody, and especially our private audience, China University of Technology, or TUT. And welcome to the second edition of the Changing Hearts and Mind series. This is for exploring environmental education in Africa. Today's talk is going to be about motivation. Now, there's a famous quote by the actor Jude Law noting that a job is not just a job, it is who you are. And this is especially applicable in the field of science and conservation. And since usually in life we face trials, it can be easy to take it personally and just give up. Sometimes passion is not enough to drive us forward, and this is the time when we actually need to stay motivated. Now, somebody that knows all about resilience and staying motivated is our speaker today, Dr. Ashrenee Govender. Dr. Govender completed a PhD at the University of KwaZulu-Natal in collaboration with the Oceanographic Research Institute. During her PhD, she used molecular techniques such as DNA metabarcoding and extensive data analysis to monitor and assess marine zooplankton along the east coast of South Africa. Her MSc at the University of KZN was in collaboration with the eThekwini municipality. She combined molecular techniques such as DNA barcoding and bioinformatic analysis to assess the effects of reforestation on biodiversity using Buffels's dry landfill site. Now, here are some fun facts about Dr. Ashrenee. She passed her MSc with distinction, she cummed it, and she completed her PhD at the tender age of 27. And with that, I hand over to you, Dr. Govender.
So today I'm here to motivate you and to speak about my journey. So I'm Ashrenee Govender. I am a postdoctoral researcher at the Oceanographic Research Institute, and I am based in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal. For those of you who may not know what a postdoctoral researcher is, it is basically someone who undertakes research and gain professional experience for a future in an academic career. And this only can happen after you have completed a doctoral degree. So next up, we are going to follow the journey of how I got to where I am today. But this talk is not about me only, it's about you. It's about the students at TUT and the students in Africa to show you that you can make it happen and that nothing is impossible. And you have to just keep going to get to where you want to get to. Nothing is impossible. So where do I come from? So for those of you who are from our broader audience of Africa, I am from South Africa. And those of you who know more about South Africa, I was born and brought up in Pietermaritzburg. It's a small city in KwaZulu-Natal where I actually completed all of my educational studies. And I lived there until I was 28 years old. I only moved from there 2 years ago to Durban. That's where I live now. So from Pietermaritzburg is known as the Sleepy Hollow. I have now moved on to the beautiful coastline of Durban. So this is a quick educational background dissecting me. I went to first year preschool. I then moved on to Ridge Junior Primary. And then I went to Allendale Primary and hit the secondary school. And throughout my educational journey of my pre-primary, primary, and high school, I had an excellent foundation growing up. I had excellent support and obviously also the right mindset to get me to where I am today. I then went to UKZN in Pietermaritzburg, the University of KwaZulu-Natal, where I completed my undergrad, my honors, my master's, and my PhD, all at the same university in Pietermaritzburg. So let's get into my undergrad. So I completed my undergrad in 3 years. I started in 2011 and I completed my studies in 2013. So 3 years is your prescribed amount of time for a degree. So I basically studied genetics and microbiology as my majors when I was doing my undergrad. But it was not an easy journey. I waitressed for a bit. I had to waitress through my first and second year to help me earn some extra money to do what I needed to do on the side. I also did promotional work. I then had a bursary from a group called the Willerton Oil and from the Gift of the Givers to help fund my studies, or at least half of my studies throughout my undergrad. And then I also had lots and lots and lots of support from my parents. And I knew that once you get your degree, the world is your oyster. You cannot just finish school and then move on from there. You need to further your education. You need to move forward. You need to open greater avenues for yourself to make the world your oyster. I had great support from my family. You'll see a picture here of my mom and dad and my brother. I had great support. My brother and I actually graduated together for undergrad degree. And I graduated in 2014 for this degree. You have to have lots of motivation. You have to motivate yourself. You need to know what you want to get to where you want to get and not veer off track. My motivation was to get my degree so I can have a better future for myself. And I knew that this was the foundational phase of my education. This was a starting point to where I wanted to get. So this is where theories of Maslow come in. My physiological needs was to be able to fulfill my basic needs, get a degree so I can be able to support myself for basic food, water, shelter, clothing, and those kind of things. Safety needs, have control over my own life. I have a degree, I can have more control over my life. For financial security, for my own freedom. And then for my esteem needs, it helped my self-esteem. I knew I can do this. It allowed me to be more independent with this degree. And then I went on to doing my honors. Like I said, my undergrad was a foundational phase, but I knew I needed more. So in 2014, I started my honors degree. And I was also funded by the NRF. So this made it a lot more easier to get through. But it was a very challenging year because during your honors year, you are faced with writing exams, writing up project proposals, writing up your own essays, and then you also have to do a whole project, a mini thesis, they would call it, where you have to be. So I did my honors in genetics, so it was a lot lab-based and field work. So on top of writing exams, I still had to go and write a mini thesis. So it was a very difficult year, honors. I think honors is one of the most difficult years because you only have 1 year to finish this degree. But through my honors degree, I was given an opportunity to present at my first local conference. And through the year, I presented. And at the end of the year, I actually won first prize for my honors work and first prize for my presentation skills. And I graduated in 2015 for this degree. And this is where the seed for my academic future as a scientist was planted. I knew I wanted more. I knew I loved science. I knew that I enjoyed what I did. I knew there was more than just doing my honors. I knew I wanted more from life. So that's where more Maslow theories came into my life. I wanted to feel more accomplished. I wanted more. I wanted to keep making my family proud. I wanted to feel more self-fulfillment. I needed more personal growth. I also wanted to increase my experience in what I was doing so that I could be the best at what I do and to also secure my future and what I wanted. So I went on to doing my master's degree. And I started this master's degree in 2015. So it was a 2-year degree, so between 2015 and 2016. Yeah, so it was a very tough year, for a tough 2 years. I had to go out on field trips to different locations in KwaZulu-Natal. Most of them were sampling during the summer where it's extremely boiling hot. but this is what needed to be done for this degree. And there was nothing more that I could have done. I had to do this. So I had to find my internal motivating factors and keep going. So the field trips were in remote locations. Some were very far away from home. There was a time where I had to stay with absolute strangers in order to get my work done and to get my sampling done. And I would obviously phone my parents, get some support. They would motivate me. I would motivate myself. I knew in 2 years, I need this degree. I need it to get to where I want to go to. I had great support from my supervisors. I had great support from my colleagues. I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I had the opportunity to travel from South Africa all the way to Morocco, fully funded by my master's project, to attend an international conference. And it was amazing, amazing to see a new country, amazing to travel as a student. I really had some good motivation throughout my studies. I had to also publish. I published my first journal article during my master's. But it's not all a bed of roses when you're studying. I lost a lot of motivation towards my second year. I felt like this is too much. It was too overwhelming. There's so much to do. And then I stopped working. And then something inside of me said, no, 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 you need to keep fighting. You know what you want. You want your own financial security. You want to support your family. You want to have a better future for yourself. And as a female, you want to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and do what you need to do. So I came back stronger than ever. I completed my master's in the prescribed 2 years, and I managed to graduate cum laude. This did not come easy. I worked throughout the Christmas holidays. I didn't take a break. I just carried on working and working and working until my thesis was done. And despite losing almost 4 or 5 months where I lacked motivation, I managed to make up for the time and finish in the 2 years. And my motivation came internally. I knew what I wanted. And it's the same with the students. You need to dig deeper into what you want and find your motivation. I know not all of us have the external support that we need, but the support comes from within, comes from what you want. You need to be your own motivation and your own support to get to where you are. Once I finished my master's in 2017, I took a gap year. I took a deep breath and I needed to decide what I wanted to do. Because now I've already been studying from 2011 to 2016. This already been a very long time. My brain was exhausted. I needed a break. So I took 6 months off. I worked as an intern here and there. I assisted my old lab, my master where I studied, and I did some work. And then I started working in the company that I am at now. I started as a research assistant in May 2017. And at the end of the year, after 6 months, I was offered to do a PhD through the company, which was fully funded, and it had financial support for myself. And this is where the Alderfer theory comes in. For my existence, I needed to improve my basic needs. I knew that if I had to study further, I can improve the quality of food that I eat, the quality of lifestyle that I live. I needed to improve my safety needs, my financial security. I needed more. I knew that this was not where I stopped. I wanted more out of life. So I had to put in the effort to get to the more that I wanted. In terms of relatedness, I wanted to keep making my family proud. I wanted to keep gaining respect and becoming a respectful scientist that I am. And I wanted to grow, because once you carry on studying and your studies allow you to know that the sky is your limit. You never stop. You always improve your personal growth. Never forget that you are your own person and you need to keep moving forward. And you do this for yourself. You don't need to do it for anybody else but yourself. So I started my PhD in 2018 and I completed in 2020. So your prescribed time to do a PhD is 3 years. And surprisingly, this was actually a very, very difficult time, and I managed to finish in 3 years. I really loved what I did. I enjoyed it. I got my second publication while I was in my PhD. And during this time, I was afforded the opportunity to travel again, fully funded to Mauritius, where I got to present my PhD research and my first publication. This degree is very difficult. It takes up, or it takes up most, if not all of your time. You have no time to do anything but complete your lab work, to complete your analysis, to write up your PhD thesis. But if you know deep inside what you want, which is what I knew I wanted to finish my PhD degree. I knew I had 3 years, and after the 3 years, my funding had stopped. I needed to finish in 3 years. And this is what I had my internal motivating factor. I had my parents, I had good family support, I had good um, supervisor support, but it came from within as well. I knew this is what I wanted, and this is the way forward. So from the beginning, I knew, from the very, very beginning, I knew I had 3 years, I needed to finish this degree. There was no other way around it. This included lots of field trips. My PhD included lots and lots of field trips where you get very seasick, lots and lots of lab work, and also lots of sleepless nights analyzing your data. I worked with very large data sets, and you barely get any sleep, but you keep moving forward. I then presented my PhD research at the UKZN College Research Day, where I won first prize. I was actually very sick this day when I presented. I had laryngitis. I could barely even get words out of my mouth. But I explained to the audience, I am sick, but here is me presenting what I do for my PhD. And I ended up winning first prize, which involved an international trip. So I applied to go for a conference in India, which was fully paid for. The flights, the accommodation was all paid for with this first prize. And then came COVID, 2020. So my conference got canceled, which was fine. But also now it became, we had to work from home. We had to work from home, be isolated. And now in 2020 was my final year of my PhD. I needed to finish. So besides being in the era of COVID and the beginning of COVID at a very scary time, I've experienced loss. I had both my grandmothers passed away during this time. I was very close to them. But I had to push through all the loss and all the pain and losing lots of family members during this time because I knew my end goal. And this is the importance of a positive mindset. We all go through very rough times, but if we know what we want and if we know where we are headed, there's nothing stopping us from getting to where we need to. We just need to push. We need to find our internal motivation factors and push. So I completed my PhD in 3 years, and I graduated in 2021, at the beginning of 2021, at the age of 27. It was not an easy journey. It was extremely difficult, but I had lots of support from my parents and from my family. And they were there with me from the beginning till the end, throughout the late nights in 2020. I would not sleep. I would work, push out drafts just so that I can finish my PhD in 3 years. And this is where the McClellan theory comes in. The need for power, to be influential. In my case, it was never an egotistical need for power. It was to be influential, to influence young adults, to influence young scientists, to influence the young that are into conservation, to be able to make a difference, to teach others, to be able to impart my knowledge onto anyone that needs help, the need for power, achievement, to be successful and to feel accomplished. And to feel accomplished that I managed to accomplish all the goals that I needed and I set out for myself. Another thing that is very important for young students and for young conservationists is to set goals for yourself. and to make sure you accomplish the goals, not for anybody else, but for yourself. I needed affiliation to feel a sense of belonging, to feel a sense of belonging in a company, to feel a sense of belonging and to feel safe. And that's where I am now. I have a sense of belonging where I am today. And right now, I started my postdoctoral, I started being a postdoctoral researcher at the Oceanographic Research Institute in 2021. About 6 months after I completed submitted my PhD, because we all need a break. All of our minds need a break. We need to recoup and gather ourselves before we can continue, because it's our human nature. So this is where I am now. I sometimes travel on big ships. I sometimes travel on small ships, but I collect zooplankton. I focus on DNA metabarcoding. I'm still a geneticist. I have my PhD. I have a PhD in genetics. So I continued with metabarcoding. So metabarcoding is basically we go out to the ocean, we collect all these tiny, tiny zooplankton, and we are able in a molecular way in the lab to identify all these zooplankton at one go using the molecular techniques that I have adapted throughout my studies. And my aim obviously is to publish. So in the last 2 years, I published 5 papers, and I'm currently still writing up more papers. And this is very important because you have to use your head. You have to think about what you want to do. You have to use your hands, because in the lab, that's all you have. You have to use your hands for your data analysis, and your head to keep thinking, okay, what do I need to do now? This is how I do it. And you need to have the motivation internal. Your heart needs to drive you emotionally and physically, and you need to know what you want to do. And I know it's easier said than done, but the story was not about me only. It's about you. I want you to see that nothing is impossible, and that you just need to keep going. You need to find, a lot of us don't have all the support that we need from home. I understand that. And this is where you need to find your own motivation to make your life better, to make those around you better, to just keep going and keep pushing to move forward. Thank you for listening to my talk, and I hope you feel inspired and motivated.
It was very inspiring and a very motivational talk. Thank you.
No problem.
Before we go to the Q&A, just need to move to another doctor, Dr. Cheryl Ogilvie, and then we're going to go. Thank you, Dr. Govender.
No problem.
All right, guys, we've got a lot of guests on today, and I would like to thank Dr. Govender for giving such a powerful presentation. This presentation is going to go far. She's a young girl who achieved her PhD at the age of 27. You guys are 19 and 20 years of age. Do you think you can achieve your PhD by 27? I think it's very possible. So my first slide is why? Why should we be motivated? Why should we want to make a difference in our careers? Why should we want to make a difference in our lives? So why is motivation important? You cannot do anything without being motivated. And I've been talking about this for how many weeks now? If you're not willing to go that extra mile, you will never get off the ground. You can plant the seed, your parents have planted the seed, all right? But the thing is, if you do not germinate, you do not water it, it does not get sunlight, it's never going to grow. And it's up to you to give yourself the sun, the air, the water, the abiotic factors in order for you to grow and to make a difference. Okay, change Mariette. You will have to be motivated to do anything in life. And those are the key words. If it doesn't come from you, I cannot do it for you. Your moms and dads cannot do it for you. Dr. Govender cannot do it for you. She did it for herself. And you have got to do this for yourself. You have to grow for yourself. Okay, next slide. So As you can see, you've seen the definition. Guys, motivation is an internal state or condition, sometimes described as a need. Is this career that you are doing a need? Is it a desire or is it a want? Is it all three? Do you want this, guys? I want to hear it. Do you want this?
Yes.
Are you sure? Because I don't firmly believe it and I don't see it in your test marks. All right, and neither does Professor De Cron. So do you want this?
Yes.
I don't believe you. Do you want this?
Yes.
Is it a desire?
Yes.
All right. So guys, this is what we need to do because you need to start to become an energized bunny, like a battery. Get yourself charged up. And you are going to have to start doing it for yourself. I'm not saying don't put your fingers in the plug now. No. But I need you to start thinking and I need you to start studying because if this is what you want and if this is what you want to do in life, then put your whole heart into it. Dr. Govender, put it clearly. Head, what's the next one? Hands, next one. Heart. Okay, so it's an internal state or condition that activates behavior and gives it some kind of direction. Where is your direction, guys? I've asked you to set goals and sub-goals. What is your first goal? To get your diploma. First of all, the sub-goals to get to that is pass comms. Pass what else? Animal studies. What's the next one? Plant studies. What's the next one? Resource management. And if you fail one of those, can you achieve your goal? No. Can you be the best nature conservator? No. You won't go out next year to do your work integrated learning. So you've got to start to energize yourself. Guys, I'm a slow learner and I'm not embarrassed about it. But have I made a difference? Have I achieved something in life?
Yes.
Did it come with hard work?
Yes.
Let's ask Colin. Have you achieved something in life, Colin? You passed first year flying colors, am I right? And he's even worked at Indumu. Have you passed all your subjects? Have you all passed all your subjects? Who's carrying subjects? And that is what is scary, am I right? Because could you have passed everything? You could have, if you went the extra mile. Next slide, Marie. So you can do anything in life, but what you do need is, and we all need, is to see that achievement. Dr. Govender, saw the achievement. She saw it in herself. She saw it as she grew from her first BSc to her master's to her PhD, and now soon her postgrad on top of it. You see, it's like, remember the behavioral change I did in class yesterday? Those negative forces that keep pushing ourselves down. We're going to see that again now. All right. So, do you want recognition? Sometimes we just need a pat on the back and somebody to say, well done. And those students say, well, passing the test. What do I say? Well done. You are achieving something. But sometimes I slip up. Because those that are trying very hard and are not achieving great results, I'm not saying, okay, let's try a different method. So what did I try and teach yesterday in class? A different study method to get all the knowledge in. And then, of course, is this the chosen career that you want to do? Because the work itself must be rewarding. If you love what you are studying, you will be able to do it better. Am I right? If somebody has forced you to study conservation, do you think you're going to go 100% into it? No. But you've got to remember everything you do has got some kind of impact on the environment. And then, of course, responsibility. Have you taken responsibility for your own studies?
Yes.
Or is it Nafta's responsibility? Huh? Have you said, have you taken ownership for what you have decided to do?
Yes.
Because I don't see it, and that is what is worrying me, okay? You have got to say, I chose this career, and this career is going to make a difference in my life and the future generations. But also, if I go into environmental education and educating people for sustainable development, you're going to be impacting so many other people. It's like a bicycle chain, and you know, a bicycle chain is full of those links. And if one of the links of your bicycle chain breaks, does that bicycle work? No. You need to have that chain moving the whole time. It's like a life cycle. It's like a food web. If one of those links disappear, for instance, if L's disappear, what's going to happen? We can have an abundance of rats. There's going to be diseases. So the whole food web is going to collapse. All right. So you want advancement. Guys, you are busy with your diploma. Step 1, am I right? Remember the step diagram? This is your present level. Where do you want to go? Desired or optimum? Optimum. Okay, you don't just reach for the bottom branches, you reach for the top branches. And then, of course, as what Dr. Govender said so well, growth. You want to grow in this career. You want to start making a name for yourself in this career. And you want to make a difference in the environment for the people in the environment. Okay, and it's all about conservation, getting the message out there. Okay, next slide. And was so well covered now with Dr. Govender. Of course, existence, food, clothing, shelter. And Emma said, a lot of students that come to campus are just worried about the designer clothing. And my hair must look like this, and I'm going to wear these kind of shoes. No, just be yourself. You've got one chance in life. I was given one chance in life to pass my diploma many, many years back. My dad said, if you don't pass it, you are out. So you guys must grab this and start reaching for your dream. Relatedness, is this what you want to do? All right, and growth, the self-actualization. Remember we spoke about baking the cake with Maslow. Dr. Govender covered it so well. What's the first thing that goes into a cake? Eggs and sugar. All right? If you don't have eggs, sugar, butter, and milk, that's the basis for a good cake. Am I right? And then you start beating it up. What did I say? You beat the hell out of it, okay, until it gets all fluffy. All right. You beat yourself up, okay, until you achieve your good test results, until you get to your goals. And then what do you add to your cake? Flour. And then what else do you add? Vanilla essence. And then what do you add to your cake? Remember we build in Maslow. Until you said it so well in class, what do you have to do? Step 1. Put the what on? Put the oven on. Remember, you're the one said if you don't put the oven on the right heat, you're never going to have your cake. But there's one big ingredient missing in our cake. And what is that? For it to come. Yeast, or you don't put yeast in cake, you put what in cake? Baking powder. If you don't put the baking powder in your cake, you're going to end up having a pancake. All right. And of course, those are all you want security. All right. Your career is eventually going to give you security. It's going to give you what you need. And the self-actualization is when that cake, which is you, that comes out of the oven. And what do you want to do with that cake? You want to decorate it. All right. You want people to see, she's made a good cake. She's made a good success of her career. All right. And she's growing. She hasn't just got a diploma anymore. She hasn't just got her advanced degree anymore. She hasn't just got a postgrad. She's now going on to a master's and she's getting a PhD. Look how this girl or this guy is growing and making a difference in the environment and in conservation. All right. And then, of course, the self-actualization is when you actually start, as what Dr. Govender has done. You start writing up and making a name for yourself. You start attending these conferences. And then you work with people and you work every day. She said she didn't take holidays. She didn't take Christmas. She didn't take Easter. She worked. Because she set her goals right. All right, and I need you guys to start setting your goals. Okay, the next slide. Okay, now you're just going to have to flow. So guys, we have to be motivated in whatever we do. And you keep saying, is there really a need for me to do this? Is this your chosen career? All right, so there you can see. First of all, we've got to start looking at 3 of those yellow points. Your aspirations, your perceptions, and your knowledge. We sometimes overrate our own efficiency. We think we're better than what we are. Don't worry, I don't have to pass over these tests. Just let's take 40–50% to get through. What you just unaware of the possible optimums. You're unaware of what you can achieve in life. You're unaware of the advantages. What are your advantages? You're going to make a name for yourself in the career of conservation. You're going to go into protected areas and you're going to know that protected area needs what? Protecting. Because remember, all protected areas are surrounded by communities. And communities are living below the poverty line right now. And there's impacts. And we've spoken about poaching. We've spoken about washing in rivers. We've spoken about deforestation. We've spoken about what? Waste. Okay. So, guys, your perceptions, become aware of what you want to achieve in life. All right. So stop being unaware of the advantages and what you are doing right now, you are aware of the disadvantages. I don't have a weekend anymore. Ogilvy wants me to study day and night. Yes, I do. Why? Is it for me or for you? It's for yourselves. Okay. I want you guys to make a difference in your life. Yes. Work your weekends. Work long weekends. I'm not saying work 24/7, but I am saying work 20 hours or 18 hours a day to achieve your dreams. And if you know you've got shortcomings, work even harder. All right. And then, of course, knowledge. Remember, head, hands, and heart. Head is cognitive. Heart, psychomotor, hands-on. All right. So the 3 H's. Okay, next slide. So guys, we've got to start solving our problems, whether they are financial, whether it's transport, whether it's whatever, you deal with it and you solve it and you conceptualize. We did this in class yesterday. We did the 7 thinking hats in class yesterday. What was the first hat? The 2 blue hats. Conceptualize, break it into causes and effects. Set your goals. All right, write down exactly what the problem is. The next hat was what? The red hat, which is put your emotions into it. Put your heart into it, your feelings. And you can say whatever. Then the next hat was paper. All right, true facts. You want statistics. You want to know what's going on. And then you brainstorm the solution, which was the green hat coming in. And then you criticize and you look at each one according to, is it practical? Is it ethical? Is it workable? Is it achievable? All right. And you judge it according to those things. And then, of course, the action plan. What is your action plan? Have you set your action plans? I'm not worried because those goals are not coming through clearly. Okay. And the next one. And it all leads through your program. You've got to design your study program. You've got to design what you want to achieve. And you've got to set curriculum. And you've got to make sure you attend those classes. You've got to make sure you are up to date with what is happening every single day. So when the tests pop up, and surprise tests do pop up, you are always ready. And of course, remember the step? You did that. The negative forces that keep pushing us down, and the positive forces that can push us up, which is better, the positive or the negative? The positive. And there's ways to change that. You strengthen your positives. You eliminate your negatives. And you change your negatives into positive. Remember I said, get rid of those girlfriends, get rid of those boyfriends. You need friends who are behind you that are going to motivate you right in the top. You need people to push you, not break you down. You need people to give you a pat on the back when you deserve it. All right. You need people to be firm with you. You need your moms and dads to be firm with you. And of course, next piece, you want self-change. You want, remember, social change is your friends groups and your community groups, and you need to see that change happening. Because you're going to be out there working in communities, working in protected areas. You're going to be training rangers. You're going to be educating them. You're going to be motivating them. You are not always going to be a second-year student or a work integrated learning student. You are going to be one day, you work hard at it, a manager. And it could even be a director. You could even become a CEO of Ezendela KZN Wildlife. But it's not offered to you on a plate. It's what you put on your plate in order to get there. All right, you're going to have to cook. You're going to have to bake that cake. All right, and don't forget the baking powder. And don't forget to put the oven on at the right heat. Because if you put it on too hot, you're going to burn. Put it on too cold, it's never going to cook. Are you with me? All right, next slide. So remember, guys, as I said, I don't believe in the letter T because there's no such word as can't, won't. Can't, take the T off. I can. Won't, take the T off. You win. All right, I won. All right, so guys, start thinking positive. Start thinking that we are going to make a difference in our lives, for the future generations. Because remember, you're not just doing this for you. You have chosen conservation as part of your chosen career.
Okay, yes, I just want to say thank you to Dr. Ogilvie. I know I personally needed that talk. So I see we're immediately going into the Q&A. At the same time, Marit is going to launch the poll.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was given this opportunity to thank Dr. Govender and Dr. Ogilvie for this amazing talk we just had. It feels a little bit as an open anticlimax because after what they've just said, it was amazing. I mean, they've said it all. I can't say no more. So, but if I can, if time allows, I'll just say something because I think motivation has been a very vital part of my life because, so basically, I have a father and my father leaves the house every day at 3:45 a.m. in the morning. And growing up, I always asked myself, how the hell does this dude do it? Because I never understood why. And then one day my aunt asked him, why, Daddy? And then you know what he said? What he said really shocked me. He said, maybe one of my boys will catch me in the act of excellence. It was really amazing, man. I don't even know what to say, but I just want to take this moment to thank Dr. Govender for the amazing talk, for the motivation, and thank Dr. Ogilvie for this amazing talk. Thank you.
Okay, guys, any questions? They seem very quiet today. Wow, you thinking?
Yeah.
You hear that comment? They're motivated right now. All right.
They're just doing some processing. I think while they're doing that, we're going to go to Moji Kitsi for a question, and then we're coming back to you, TUT.
Hi, morning everyone. Mine is not much of a question, but I have to say that you know, when you are in a field like ours, in terms of nature conservation and environmental studies, and it gets difficult at times as you walk the field and you feel that you are alone. But it's really, really motivating. I mean, just by virtue of you guys being here and sharing your life journeys, and I mean, Dr. Ogilvie, I mean, I'm lost for words, but I'm really honored to have listened to you guys, Dr. Govender. Your story is super motivating. I don't know if these young guys in Dr. Ogilvie's class, if there's anything else that they need. I mean, basically, whatever they're gonna need for the journey. And whatever they're gonna need to get sort of recharged and electrified is there in your talk, Dr. Govender. And they are lucky to be in the company of a great legend as Dr. Galvi. I'm honored, ladies. Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate this. And this means a lot to me. Thank you, I appreciate that. I hope there was a lot more people to sort of share in this and experience something like this. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Moji. And I like your comment about feeling recharged and re-energized after this talk, because I feel the same right now. Okay, so that was a comment. I'm going back to TUT now. To ask if there are any further questions. Dr. Ogilvie, we see you.
All right.
Good morning, doctor. Morning.
Morning.
My name is Aman from TT. I just have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that your parents' motivation really made you who you are? Because right now, most of us, we don't really have motivation from our parents. So I think that's the reason why we are not going hard. We are not really pushing.
And that is why part of my talk, I mentioned that not all of us have support, family support, have good friends to support you, have your own external support. And that's why internal motivation is so important. You have to find it within you. There comes a point where you have to just focus on you and do it for yourself and for nobody else but yourself. And I understand a lot of people all over don't have parental support, don't have family support, but it's still possible, because it's still possible if you're doing it for yourself and you know, this is where I want to get to. There's no other support than yourself. There's no greater support than your own motivation and your own support to know, I want this better life for myself. I want this for myself. You go and you push and you get to where you want to go to.
All right. Thank you.
If I may add, sometimes our parents don't actually understand what we're doing. They haven't been through this journey, so they don't understand either. But you've got Dr. Ogilvie there. So I think if you ever feel demotivated, you've got your classmates and you've got a gemstone, Dr. Ogilvie. So you're not completely lost.
Yeah, because many of our students do not have the backing at home. Their parents are there, yes. Some parents are battling to help them to pay for their studies and accommodation and stuff like that. But they're not there that say, come on, you can do this. Weekends, you got to do this. Weekends, you got to do that, you know? So somehow I think I need to have a workshop with mommies and daddies. What do you think?
Oh, it's a better experience.
You said it's a bad idea. I already had a meeting with your mommy. All right, I had many meetings with some parents, and sometimes some students just need that little push from the side. I know it comes from internal, Dr. Govender, and sometimes our batteries do run flat.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes a mom or dad just kind of just help us recharge again. If
Even
they're
our
there.
grandparents play a very vital and big role in our motivation and motivating us to have what they didn't have.
Yes. And many parents haven't even got a schooling or a school career behind them. For instance, at Indumu, there's 64% of the ladies that are interviewed have had no education whatsoever. So they are not encouraging their children to go to school. And I've been holding workshops with the community, the ladies and the men, and trying to get them to get more involved in their children's careers and schooling.
No, and we hope that this generation is the one that's going to change that.
Yeah. I've got another student that's got a question.
Yes, go for it.
I wanted to ask, as a student and I kind of fail a test, then how do I pick myself up?
You just have to
She's
get going.
actually worried, Dr. Govender. She tries very hard. And I mean, she really does try, but her marks are not showing it. So She needs some advice of how she can actually pick herself up to improve those marks. And maybe a different study method is needed, and maybe a different friend is needed, or
Okay, so it's not always easy to pick yourself up when you're feeling so down, but remember, the way to study is to understand your work. You have to understand what you're doing to be able to answer your test to the best of your ability. There is no need to parrot what you're learning, like just try and absorb everything that you're learning word for word, but not understanding your work will do more injustice. So you need to understand your work, read your work, understand what you're reading in order to be able to be successful in your test. Put in the hours to understand. And also another technique when I was studying is to write your notes, understand by writing. Because as you write and write and write, it gets engraved in your mind. And the best way to move forward for your studies is to always understand what you're doing, understand your work. You're the only person that can understand your own work. And when a question comes up, because of your understanding of what you're studying, you'll be able to answer the question, not answer word for word from the textbook, but understand from your understanding of what the question is.
And Dr. Governor, we have got an open door policy. So if a student does have a problem, they can come anytime.
Yes.
And we will sit and we will redo a section. So I don't think you need to panic. All right. You know, you've got all your lecturers there for you, but you need, and the key word is understand, but also you've got to take ownership for your studies. Okay. And for your results. Thank you. Yes, I've got two students with a very crucial question. There's going to be two faces on now.
Okay. Now we'll go with those two questions and then we'll go to the audience to ask them.
Come down, make sure you go on. Come down a bit. Yeah, okay, look in there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm Togozo.
And I'm Sadie. So, Doctor, we would like to ask you a question about the bursaries that you funded you to do everything that you went through. So
And-
we'd like to know about the requirements.
Yeah, and the platform so you can get the bursaries to fill
So-
out our application.
Yes, so I had NRF scholarships. You need to go onto their website and see their availability for the kind of studies that you guys are doing. And I'm sure that they do fund you. So you need to see when the application process opens up. You need to apply. There's a lot of forms that you need to fill and you need to submit. Make sure to submit on time to be able to get these. So NRF do fund like students that are struggling and where their financial background is quite low and the parents aren't able to support them. So you guys have a good chance. You just need to keep going online and see and search. We have free range of internet now. We in 2023, where we can use internet at the snap of our fingers. So you need to go and see the institutions that are funding nature conservation studies. And there must be a lot. Like a doctor said, there's is located in wildlife. There's different wildlife institutions that you can apply for to get funding for your studies. You just need to check online.
Okay, thank you.
And do they take your previous results into account, like your matric results? And
Depending on so if they are, you guys are doing your diploma now. So when you're ready to move on to your next step of your studies, you're gonna have, they will look at your diploma results then rather than your matric results.
so in other words, you've got to do well.
You have to do well.
And I think sometimes they have to look at the projects that's offered. And sometimes
Yes.
there's people that's looking for the skill set.
Mm.
Just keep that. Okay, so Dr. Ogilvy, while we're waiting for another question from you, I'm going to go to the floor. And so, we're
So
starting
far,
with-
I think we don't have any more. They are stunned. So they're all busy thinking. So yeah, at the moment, I've got no more questions.
Okay, so for now, I'm then going to go to Ahmed and then
Thank you so
Evaristo. And then if there is any more questions from our primary audience, I will come back. If not, then it's also okay.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Hello, students.
Morning.
Hello, Dr. Governor.
Good morning.
And also hello, Dr. Cherry. It was really amazing for this experience, this story. My name is Ahmed. I'm joining from Somalia. I don't have question, but I just feel that I would like to share also some kind of my motivation story. Really, when I was listening to Dr. Governor, I feel like I was go through a same kind of a path that she did. You know, throughout my journey, I didn't get a help, or also maybe in the environment that is suitable to study. Kind of a war and a lot of challenges, the scarcity, the resources are limited. So I feel I like those things motivated me to go through and look for scholarships in other countries. So when I was applying through that scholarships, I feel I was like I was lacking enough knowledge to write a very good letters, like application letters. But I started to look at a resource that can find me or make my application is very strong. I don't want to say more, but really today, I feel like I motivated a lot. I thank you so much, Dr. Governor, and also Dr. Cherry. I submit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ahmed. And then I'm going to move on, Evaristo Bruda.
Okay. Hi. Thanks for next presentation. I would like to know if the Dr. Governor used maybe the open access or paid journal for publication.
Oh, you want to know what type of where do we submit, or what articles do we use to write out the publications?
Yeah, because you told us that you have completed your studies on time.
I think you're moving around time management. Is that the question, Evaristo? We can't hear you properly. Do you want to, I think Dr. Govender, I think he's asking about time management because it's typed out in the chat. How do you
Yes, how
manage
do you
to
manage to
accomplish?
publish papers and complete your
Yeah.
studies in time? So you have to have good time management. You need to set goals for yourself. You need to know what's important in that moment and what's not important, and you need to focus your time on what's important throughout your studies. So for your masters, for example, what's very important for a masters is to complete your masters. And once you're done, then you focus on publishing. So once I was done and I submitted, I focused on publishing. When it comes to your PhD, one of the requirements at UKZN and in South Africa is that you need to have at least one publication, then you can only submit. So there, your priority becomes publish a paper in the beginning of your PhD or as soon as you get enough results, and then you continue writing up your thesis to be able to submit. So you need to have great time management, and you need to set goals for yourself, how many months you want to have to accomplish these goals, and to set your time accordingly to be able to do that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you again, Dr. Govender. Thank you again, Dr. Ogilvie. It was phenomenal.